Well, here we are. Sunday morning, little late. Been a crazy busy week. As always with the commish, it is your week 3 fantasy recap. Now, as many of you may noticed, we have a little bit movement within the standings. We've had some polls on taking 2 knees. Brian, Ichi, Miyagi didn't understand that concept. He was calling shenanigans, calling fake news, wanted a recount. I was just like, man, he wanted FBI probe. He was calling fucking Donald Trump. Look, motherfucker, this is our fantasy football league. Even Trump's dumbass can't get into here. He can't affect this. So let's go ahead and squash all that voter recount bullshit. It was a poll. It was a joke. All right. Also, shout out to Chris Kelly, CK, VI. Look, if you're going to take my post and you're going to use it on your Instagram, you got to give me credit, okay? Make sure you do that. That goes for everybody, all right? So, with that being said, let's get on to the recap. We start with one of our 2 rematches from week 1. This is the Poolside Gangsters versus Dave's foreign, domestic, I don't know, in the basement beer, Eliason, I guess, whatever. But, you know, in week 1, he got throttled. He thought he had a better chance. He thought that, you know, with 73 points on his bench, that he should be able to win. That wasn't the case. Watson, Barkley, Mahomes, just 3 players had 72 points. Meanwhile, he's leaving 73 points on the bench. Not good business. I mean, maybe that's how you make a beer. I don't know. In the end, we know what beer is the best.
If he were to pat you on the back, you would list it on your resume. Both sides of his pillow are cool. When in Rome, they do as he does. He is the most interesting man in the world.
I don't always drink beer, but when I do, I prefer Dos Equis.
Exactly. Dos Equis, not that bullshit Eliason. And I just gotta say, Dave, stay winless, my friend. Poolside Gangsters 136, first place, undefeated. Dave 0-3, 0-3. 9th place though. Only 1 spot out of the playoffs. Now, our second game features, of course, our second rematch of week 1. If anybody remembers week 1, TGL, fucking fucks. He don't give a fuck. Every other word is a fuck. He took on Mike out of San Bernardino, Arizona, Texas, New York, to somewhere in Ohio, Florida, Virginia, Maryland. I think the fucking Bahamas is the only place he hasn't worked or lived. That game was decided by half a point. Half a point. Lou bounced back last week to even his record at 1-1, while Gypsy Circus fell in their second week to 1-1. So this was a really important game, and the fans were, you know, decidedly cheering for, I guess, both teams. It's easy. You know, it's easy. It's kind of catchy. Simple. You know, definitely, you know, fan favorite of these 2 guys. Now, TGL losing by half a point wanted consistency. You know, he wanted to take the next step. He had 8 guys that had double digit in points, over 10 points. So 8 of his guys scored over 10 points. You know, that's fine, you know, but it doesn't get the job done. It's like, it gets the job done, but it's not a wow factor, okay? It'd be like getting a hand job versus getting a blowjob. All right? I think most of you guys have probably understood that concept, except for maybe Brandon. Oh, maybe not. Who knows? Gypsy Circus, though, had the wow factor, right? He had what they call the players that not only move the needles, but move the fantasy win total in their favor. Breeze had 40. Kamara had 34. I mean, 74 points right there. That's almost, 2/3 of his points. In the end, this wasn't as close as it was in week 1. Gypsy Circus goes to 2-1. They go to 3rd place. They win 167, 135. TGL still in the playoffs at 1-2 in the 7th spot. And then afterwards, he basically, he had a message and for his fans and what his thoughts were.
Obviously, I'm not mad at you guys. I'm upset with myself because I know those guys in that locker room are hurting our assistant coaches and our players, and we should have finished that game. And like I said, it's not about the 4th and 1. It's not about the 4th and 5, whether we punted it or not.
It's about fantasy
It's
points.
getting everybody to commit to waking up every single day and trying to be the best you possibly can be, and we haven't done that. We've gotten to a point where we are great and we're comfortable with being great. That's the issue.
Wait, what? Lou, you're great? You're 1-2. You're in 7th place. You're not great, okay? You're not great. 1-2 is not great, okay? I am so fucking tired of this generation thinking that participation trophies are the way to be. Now, because of it, we got coaches and fantasy leagues thinking 1-2 is great. So what's 3-0? Godly? I don't know. We'll get back to that. When asked about it, Gypsy Circus just had this to say about the game, about the win. Is it 2 in a row? He said, that's 2 in a row on him. Here.
Assume the position. Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Wow. He went fraternity paddle on his ass. Thank you, sir. May I have another? And TGL took it. All right. TGL took it. Now, last week, I never seen such a beatdown. Miyagi started off 0-1, lost to his son. Embarrassment. Who's your daddy? He bounced back. He destroyed Kevin. He showed him who the master was. And this week he comes in 1-1 and he gets last place 0-2 Ohio Steve. Now, if you remember correctly, the Cleveland Browns won their first game. We cracked the Bud Light. I said, look, if Steve wins, we're going to crack a Bud Light for him. We had one set aside just for him. Right? Now, in all of that, maybe looking at the polls, the take 2 knees, the recount, Miyagi just got a little confused on what we were celebrating. Now, I don't know what the fuck Brian was saying. His team didn't know what they were saying. He had 42 points from Matt Ryan, but that was it. Now, Steve was consistent, 8 players with double-digit points. And, again, Miyagi playing drunk, playing fucked up. Maybe he still got some issues from that beatdown he took. Or maybe it's the good luck of knowing that that beer's going to get cracked in victory celebration. So, in honor of that, Steve, your beer awaits. Congratulations to Scuba Steve, Ohio Steve, Steve the Pilot, 1 and 2 in the 8th spot. In the 8th spot. All you have to do is make the playoffs. Good things happen if you make the playoffs. Here you go, cheers. Victory beer. Now, our next game is the matchup of the two Goliaths, two undefeated teams. They're both 2-0, both in the top of the division. Doesn't get any better than that. Pats fans, Rob's team was just rolling, just turning out fantasy points. And that's all that matters. Brandon beat his dad down. And showed it wasn't a fluke and won his second matchup. He was 2-0. The young gun coming in at 2-0 against the veteran, the Boston Strangler himself, Rob Quinn and the Pats. Now, Gurley and Thomas together scored 46 points for a Pats fan. So you thought to yourself, man, it's going to be another big-time Boston Strangler. But it wasn't. When you look at the bench of Pats, they didn't really have much to work with. 2 players on his bench played. Only Crabtree had any points really of significance. 2 guys were suspended, and 1 is out completely. Brandon does what young guys do when you would. You know what I mean by that. We all were there one time. 33 points from this guy. Outshine his counterpart Gurley. Jimmy Garoppolo had 22 points. But the one that we're going to take from this is the injury to Garoppolo at the point where he could have went out of bounds. Now Brandon, afterwards they asked him, what did you think of that play? He said, get down! I need my fantasy money! So we'll see how Brandon recovers from that big injury. First key injury to anybody's roster so far in 2018. But right now, Brandon's team was feeling it. They performed in the air tonight or last week. 156-128. Pats fans fall to 2-1, go down to 4th place. Brandon, on the other hand, 3-0, keeps rolling, keeps churning out those wins. They do this. They eat those hits, right? He eats those fantasy teams. 3-0. Now, our last matchup pretty much can be summed up in one play. One play, because the final score was 190-98. 190-98. So how do we describe that? We describe it with one clip.
3rd and 10.
Kevin on Chris, and down goes B.I.
Can he get there?
100-point ass whooping.
5-yard touchdown. Vance McDonald.
Oh my God.
Wow. He just ran over Chris Conti.
Yeah, he ran over Chris all right.
Watch him right here. McDonald.
Kevin did not like the last Dragon. Woo, and unfortunately, Chris was on the receiving end of that frustration.
Right
there.
Throws him out of the club.
People are laughing. Threw Chris out of the club. He threw him out of the club. It was that bad that there's no words to describe that ass whipping. Now, Ebony Knights go to 2-1, 5th place, middle of the pack. Great recovery victory. VI's living up to his name. He's 0-3. Now, it worked for the Browns. It worked for Scuba Steve. So now we are going to, as we do before, crack open a victory drink for VI when he gets that first victory. Okay? I've only seen it once before. One time in the 12, 13, 14 years of fantasy football. I'll go back. I'm going to research this. That a team went 0 in the season. He lives in North Carolina. I tried to get him into our league. After that shamble, he retired. Since VI likes to do things in style, I mean, literally, the good and the bad are always epic. You don't get just any Bud Light. No, CK. We got the Bud Light. We are going with the platinum version of Bud Light. So we're going to crack open this bottle when VI gets his first victory. It could be next week. It could be next month. It could be next year. Some of us might not be alive when this happens. So we're going to have to make sure that our grandkids and our great-great-grandkids and their grandkids live on this tradition until CK or his son or his grandson who take over this fantasy team get that victory. And we crack open this beer. Remember, 8 teams make the playoffs. That's it. So VI is 0-3, but he's only 2 spots out of the playoffs. Dave's 0-3. He's in 9th place. So you want to win. You want to win. You want to hold those spots. Points is the tiebreaker. Remember that. Points is the tiebreaker. Good luck. Enjoy the weekend. And stay thirsty, my friends, for fantasy football.